We're in the Boroondara Cemetery in Kew, which is really one of my favourite landscapes in Melbourne, and I thought I'd pop in today because on Radio National this morning I heard a really fascinating discussion about what we need to do with contemporary cemeteries, but also cremation versus burial and some of these very old issues, but also a fascinating discussion about these so-called legacy cemeteries, so old historic cemeteries that go back to the 19th century. And obviously I did a study last year of this cemetery landscape and its long-term future in terms of its horticulture, so planting out the graves as the friends of this cemetery have done for many years, led by Helen Page. The article on Radio National got me thinking too, because Melbourne's population is going to increase by something like 85% over the next 30 years, so roughly from 5 million now to 9 million. And so we have this very intense issue looming of how are we going to use all forms of open space that we have really optimally, so we increase the range of opportunities for people to not just have access to traditional urban green space, but to have access to other areas that are sort of enriching and interesting and stimulating, whether it's community gardens or whether it's indeed these old cemeteries that, ironically enough, were actually designed to be parks, to be urban green space, to have this richness of sculptures and monuments, big beautiful trees, seating, gazebos, and actually in the case of Boroondara, Melbourne General Cemetery and St Kilda Cemetery, to be actively gardened in the graves. And the other thing about them, of course, is that the historic ones that have gone into various states of disrepair over the years, particularly here in Kew, have biodiversity value as well. And globally we know that, but here we have this self-sown river red gum, Eucalyptus camaldulensis, and that's because Boroondara Cemetery is next door to Victoria Park, and these river red gums that have been existing here or persisting here, since the 19th century, obviously as indigenous vegetation, just give it so much landscape character. So I would recommend that if you want to experience something a little bit different in terms of somewhere to walk and enjoy a kind of rich cultural landscape, then you should definitely come down to Boroondara Cemetery and have a look.